那在单元开始之前呢，想跟大家宣布一个限时特训的一个专案。我们有一个写作补强专班，这个会期呢一直到明年的3月31号。但是在3月31号之前呢，你可以探索全部2022年的内容，再加上明年1、2、3月的写作课程内容，所以总共加起来只要1200元，但是你就可以看到快30个小时的课程内容。年底到了，该用的耐心应该都用完了吧？是否你很想呐喊 I don't care? Well, you're in luck. 今天的单元我们就来分享该如何很专业、很有礼貌的说 I don't give a sh. Hello, 欢迎来到 Executive Plus 主管与沟通力的 Podcast. I'm Sherry, an educator, certified coach, and style enthusiast.我相信专业有效的沟通是语言跟逻辑的完美结合。
And I'm Nick, a startup consultant, corporate trainer, and late-night gaming junkie. I believe great communication requires the right mindset and solid frameworks.
我们希望带给大家职场英语的技能、跨文化沟通技巧与其他能帮助您成为出色领导者的工具。
Join us each week as we share our experience, research, and methodologies to take your communication and language skills from good to great. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Executive Plus podcast. Today, we're going to cover a Twitter thread that our wonderful partner Andrew shared with us, and we thought this is very appropriate for the end of the year. The end of the year, everyone's in crunch time, you've kind of run out of patience, you're waiting for that holiday break to come around, and you just stop really caring about certain things. And sometimes what you want to say needs to be covered by a more polite way to express your feelings. So today, we're going to talk about a few subtle and more polite ways to say, I don't give a shit.
That's right. 我觉得这个单元真的非常适合现在的我们，真的一整年了，大家都很努力了，我们可以来休个假吗？ Let's just take a break. 所以我们在 Twitter 上面呢，我们就收集了一些我觉得还不错，我们都可以来用上的一些回应的方式。那我们分别了放3种不同 category， 就是 short, medium, and long.
Now, as a warning, please take this episode and this thread with a grain of salt. These are all meant in humor where people are just offering up their advice about how they would nicely say this phrase. But some of them are really quite useful. We've broken them down into 3 segments, a very short, concise way to say this, and all the way through a much longer and convoluted way to maybe confuse someone with what you're trying to say.
Yeah, personally, I'd prefer the short ones. So you can say, thank you for your input.
Or, yeah, let's put a pin in that and circle back.
I like that. So pin in that, just kind of like, oh, let's save it and we'll come back later.
So that's actually really useful in meetings, not as a way to say I don't care, but a lot of times if you find a discussion is going the wrong direction or you're going in circles, to say, let's put a pin in that and circle back is a really good way to indicate it's time to move on.
Yeah. And also really similar, you can say, let's table that for now.
Or in the case of all these Zoom meetings, you can say, let's take this offline.
And never did.
And then never get back. So back to the original purpose of the episode. When used with a little bit of sarcasm, these all come across very much as just like, yeah, I don't care. Let's discuss this offline. The best version of this I've ever heard about was one time an acquaintance was talking to a new person, and this acquaintance has a tendency to dominate conversations. And she was telling a new person about like a business idea she had. And so she was talking about it, and they happened to be at a wedding. And that person was like, I have a lot to say on that, but let me get a drink and then get back to you. And they left and never came back.
Fantastic. So let's talk about the slightly medium one, 比较中长的这样的句子. Let's connect after the new year. I freaking love this one.
Yeah, or just use like a holiday or a break or a weekend. Yeah, I'd really like to talk more on this after the weekend, or I'd really like to talk more about this after our break. And then just conveniently, like, yeah, I don't remember saying that. And then this other one is, again, it sounds very official, but it's really misleading because it's kind of a like, yeah, we're not doing this. And that is the phrase, let's evaluate if that's a priority given our scope and timeline.
听起来真的是这个人真的仔细思考过了 But again, you're basically telling someone that that's not priority. You're not priority.
Yeah, this does not matter. Let me evaluate if that's a priority. Makes it sound like, no, I'm going to think about it. But no, the answer is just like, I can tell you right now, it's not. It's not a priority.
So let's explore the longer sentence. Now for this one, it's really sarcastic, guys. I can recommend someone else who has the passion and capacity to take this on.
This is actually something you would hear a lot from investors. Be like, I do not like this project or care about it. So I'm going to think of the person I like the least, and then that's their problem.
Or sometimes if you get certain clients that you may not want to meet again, you may also like refer this client to somebody else, right?
Right. Or you may think it was like, let me talk to someone who may know more about that than I do.
Oh, I think that's good. Yeah.
So the next one is, that's an interesting point you raise. Let me think about it and revisit this one in the future.
And again, I do think this is a very professional way to talk about it because, you know, you're showing that you're listening to them and you're giving them a little bit of praise. It's interesting, but then, you know, you just don't have to. The next one, given current strategic priorities, I don't feel addressing this issue will have enough material impact on our agreed goals to warrant further consideration.
In our last episode, we talked about be clear, be concise was one of Elon Musk's rules.
I think this is the opposite.
This is the opposite on purpose to make the person listen carefully.
What?
Like, what? I guess they're thinking about it. I mean, this is on purpose to make it more difficult. That given current strategic priorities. Do you know what this sounds like? This sounds like what a politician will say when someone's like, could you explain your policy? And they'd be like, our current strategic priorities are to, and then after you listen, be like, okay, they answered the question. But if you think back on it, I have learned nothing from this statement.
Yeah, because they definitely use big words here just to confuse you, right? 他们就是, if you want to sound smart, I mean, you could do this if you want to. These words, strategic priorities, addressing this issue, material impact, and warrant further consideration. 你看这些都是听起来真的好专业、好聪明的这些字。But actually, you're just not really replying anything to this person.
Yeah, this is the perfect example of corporate speak for I don't give a shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you can hear someone saying this and back to the idea of like, oh, I want to sound smart. No, if you say this, people are like, wow, this person is trying to screw me on purpose. Right? Especially, like, I love this. Enough material impact. Like, that's so specifically chosen.
Yeah, like, ouch.
I mean, that's just a very fancy way of saying, like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. Maybe from now on, if something doesn't matter to me, I'll just go, there's no enough material impact.
Yeah, that doesn't have enough material impact. Well, this was definitely a fun Twitter thread to jump into. A big thanks to Andrew for picking it up and sharing. We will post all of these in the show notes. Some of them, again, some of the phrases are really useful, but keep in mind, if you use these phrases in this wording, people will just be like, wait a second.
Yeah. For me, personal recommendation, 如果你真的是很想在工作的时候用到, go for the short ones. They will not hurt you. They just sound really professional and polite. So go for the short one if you're serious about this. But hey, if you wanted to play and just like confuse your friends, go for the longer ones.
If your boss is like, why haven't you finished this project? Then this would be a great time to be like, I don't feel that given our current strategic priorities, it has material impact. And then just wait a second for him to figure out what you just said. We hope you enjoyed this a little more lighthearted, close to the end of year episode. And we'll talk to you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
The Executive Plus podcast is a Presentality Group production, produced and hosted by Sherry Fang and Nick Howard. You can search us on Facebook, 主管英文 Executive Plus. You can also find us on Instagram, Communication R&D, and email us at sherry@epstyleplus.com.